Sports for Real with Coach Hall. In about 20 minutes, the NFL will kick off the draft that will help a lot of players realize their childhood dreams of becoming an NFL player. Some of these guys are can't miss. Some are marginal, but somebody just happened to notice. But then again, you're going to have some who are supposed to make it and don't, and some who aren't supposed to make it will. So having said that, I want to talk about two players that remind me of players from the past that made an impact for different reasons. First, let's talk about Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is definitely a first-round pick, and his star was shining bright up until the point where he got into a race with some teammates and friends, and one of the cars ended up crashing, and one of his teammates was killed. Ever since then, his character has been in question. Because of that, his stock has plummeted. But I think that's a mistake. Why? Because every kid, a young man, they do silly stuff. Everybody's raced a car against friends before. They've done all kind of things, the same things that these players do today. But that doesn't mean a person's character is bad. He just made a bad choice at that moment. And because of that, I think he's learned a lesson from it. And it's also going to make this guy a good pro. So as teams pass on him, it kind of reminds me of one Randy Moss. Randy Moss had character issues all over the place. But one thing that was true about Moss, and it'll always be true, is that the man could play the game. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, when is this guy going to get drafted? And all this negative talk that they're talking about, that's got nothing to do with playing the game. If I was a GM, I would have picked him first, right off the bat. But he fell all the way down to Minnesota, and I don't know what pick it was, but it was more than 10. And you saw he ended up with a Hall of Fame career. And I think Carter, he's going to slip a little bit. Probably, he should be in the top 10. But if he is in the top 10, it's going to be somewhere around 9 or 10. And I don't think that's a good draft spot for this guy, because he's still a top 2 or 3 player. But when he gets drafted, watch this guy shine just like Randy Moss did. The other player that reminds me of players of old is this guy, Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson has that rocket arm. He has escapability from the pocket. He makes good decisions at times, and he can hurt you. But the problem with him is his inconsistency. Being from North Florida, you can't escape the Gators, whether you're a Hurricane fan or a Florida State fan or any fan. If you're in this area, you're going to see a whole lot of the Gators. And I saw a whole lot of Anthony Richardson. And what I saw was a whole lot of inconsistency. Yes, he has a strong arm, but if he can't always get it there or make the wrong decision, or the split second making the right decision, it's going to be costly. And it was glaring in college. So what makes you think it's not going to be glaring in the NFL? I think the big thing is everybody telling him, because of his big size and strength in his arm, he's a can't miss player. And if I'm him and people are telling me that I'm going to get drafted in the first round, I'll go myself. But the reality of it is, I don't think he's ready. He reminds me of Jamarcus Russell. Russell ended up going number 1 overall with the Raiders back in 2007, but I saw a whole lot of Russell games when he was at LSU. Early in his career, he get in the game, fumble or bumble all the way through the game until finally the coaching staff had enough, they pull him. In comes Randall to save the day. Randall never really got a shot in the NFL, but he sure saved Russell a whole lot of times. And after Randall left, Matt Flynn came in, even fancied himself a way into the NFL. He even played a couple years with the Packers. All because of the missteps of Jamarcus Russell. But just like Richardson, he had that height and he had that size, he had that strong arm, and he can run when he had to. But he was grossly inconsistent. And these two guys, to me, are mirror images of each other. And I think because of that, Anthony Richardson, and I'm not hating on the guy, I hope he makes it. But from what I see of the inconsistencies, I think he should have stayed another year in college. But if the money calls and you have a chance to go get it, why not take a shot? So I give him credit for that. But is he ready to play pro football right now? I don't think so. And this all goes back to the Brock Purdy effect I talked about. Everybody wants to take a shot on a guy, and hopefully he can, make some kind of an impact. But when Richardson gets in there and he starts to struggle, the troubles that he had back in college are going to be compounded in the NFL. So, in my mind, he's going to be like Jamarcus Russell, unless he can catch on quicker than Russell. And I think Carter is going to surprise people. He's going to be a great player in the NFL, as long as he is able to avoid injuries. So keep an eye on those storylines as you watch tonight's draft. I won't be watching, but I'll be following it. Sports for real.